So joining me now on Tipp GAA TV is Tipperary Senior Football Manager David Power ahead of Tipperary's Munster Championship game next weekend against Waterford in FBD Simple Stadium. Thanks very much, David, for joining us.
No problem.
David, I suppose, ahead of the game next weekend, it's not been a very positive, or I suppose it's been a difficult league campaign for Tipperary, picking up only 1 point and being relegated. How do you pick up the pieces after a league that maybe didn't go the way you would have planned?
Yeah, it's been a tough league. There's no issue saying that. I think from the down game onwards, when Connor picked up the cruise ship, not only did we lose a seriously good player, but we lost a seriously good leader in the dressing room. I thought the second half against Down we were quite good. Maybe unlucky not to get something out of the game. And again, it was like in every game, Jonathan. We had good spells, but we had also very, very bad spells, and I think the opposition really punished us in it. There's a number of games I kind of look back on, and I would say that we were probably unfortunate. The Offaly game, I would have felt that we were probably the better team, even though people are looking at the scoreline. They got 2 very, very late goals. We're after leaving a lot of chances behind us. So from that point of view, we have to remain positive. Hopefully we will get a couple of players back as well that will strengthen up the panel. And I think our next target now is getting a win, we'll say, against Waterford, which won't be easy. Actually, Waterford was probably our last victory, we'll say, in the McGrath Cup. So hopefully we can start, we'll say, the championship, we'll say, with a win next Sunday.
Okay, David, and you touched a small bit on it there, talking about Conor Sweeney picking up that injury. He wasn't the only injury that Tipperary picked up during the league, to be fair.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some of the injuries that we picked up were to some of the really key players. Players like Stephen O'Brien and Shane O'Connell, amongst others. What's the story with those injuries, and have we picked up any other injuries that we're not aware of, and have your players maybe hoping to be back for next weekend?
Yeah, so with Paul Maher and Teddy Doyle as well, that have been injured as well, and hopefully Teddy will be back for next weekend. Hopefully Stephen will be available next weekend. So Colin Kennedy has been out all league as well. He's been a big blow. Dean Crew then picked up an injury during the league as well. I suppose after every game, I don't like making excuses of injuries and I would say the loss of players, but you just take the Westmeath game for example. We had only 3 of the Munster final winning team in 2020. It's been a serious turnover of players over the last couple of years, and then we're forced, let's say, inexperienced players in at the deep end, when the ideal situation is that you're kind of blooding them, that they're in with maybe 9-10 experienced players, but then you're forced with really playing maybe up to maybe 10, 11, 12 inexperienced players. That's tough going, and it's tough going on the players that are really only coming in as well, because you have to give them confidence, and it's very, very hard, I suppose, to get confidence if they see us, I suppose, not winning a game. So look, over the next couple of weeks, I think our focus is hopefully we'll get a couple of injuries back. We've been unfortunate this year, and that's the way it goes. But look, the bottom line is now, look, the league is gone. We have to look forward, and I think our big focus now is next Sunday and getting a win, because look, we need a win. We all need a win. The management, everything, because we're all down, and it's not simple. But the one thing that I can assure people is the players, the management, we're putting everything into it. And
you touched on it there as well. Everybody is down, as you said, and so people do need a lift. The players, the management, and indeed the supporters. And Tipperary has a fairly, Tipperary football has a fairly, I suppose, a small supporter base. So what would you say to the wider Tipperary GAA community, who have maybe not been as supportive of football as you maybe would have hoped?
Yeah, look, it's really get behind us. Look, at the end of the day, we're a brand, I suppose, Tipperary GAA, Like, look, I go to all the all the hurling matches where possible, and we should all, the big thing is when Tipperary is going well, usually both codes are going well because they really feed off each other. Look, Tip football, we know we have a small base, and like, you take that poor bus up in Fermanagh, that sums it up. They still kept going. They still kept going all the way up from Cavan to Fermanagh, even though it broke down. But for them, the big thing is we need to get a result for all those loyal supporters as well. And hopefully, look, I would encourage as well as parents bring kids as well, Jonathan. I think that's a big thing. They're great days to be in Semple Stadium. It gives kids, I suppose, aspirations, dreams to play in Semple Stadium, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, David. And you spoke there, dreams, aspirations. That looking to the future for younger players, that I want to be here, I want to play in Semple Stadium. There has been a lot of talk maybe from certain areas, about Tipperary footballers playing all their games, or the league games and championship games, in Semple Stadium. I suppose a big stadium that hasn't maybe been overly full with supporters on those days, and maybe there's a train of thought that the footballers should play maybe their games in smaller venues like Carmel or Templetuohy. What's your view and what's your opinion on that?
My view, it would be a complete backward step for Tipperary football if we weren't playing in Semple Stadium. I think it's for all the players, they want to play in the best stadia. You take the opposition teams that we're playing, it has all the facilities, it's got everything. But from a playing point of view, if Tip are to, if we're to improve, we have to play in the Semple Stadium, because ultimately we won't be playing in big stadiums. And this is not being disrespectful to any regional, we'll say Arfin and Templetuohy, Clonmel. Ultimately the players want to play in Thurles, and I think that has to be really respected.
Okay, David, and if we take, I suppose, a wider look at Tipperary football, from juvenile, underage levels right up along, it kind of, success seems to come in waves. We've had with the minors, the under-20s being successful, the successes of the senior team in recent years, and then there's dips. So there's highs and there's lows. Like why does that happen in your view? Why can't we build on our successes that we had in minor and under-20 level, and even the successes of the seniors winning the Munster Championship in 2020? Yeah. Why is there such a dip after such a high, do you think?
Yeah, look, I think since 2015, Jonathan, getting to the All-Ireland minor final, we got to the All-Ireland under-21 final that year. I think it starts at the underage. I suppose we're nearly going on 10 years where the minor team, has been struggling. I know last year they won the Darrell Darcy, which was brilliant. But if you look at 10, 12 years ago, Jonathan, we were beating Cork and Kerry at minor level, and that's where we need to get back to. I think there's a lot of planning, a lot of work that needs to be done we nearly have to start again, really. I nearly would say we nearly have to put nearly a 10-year plan in place. And this has got nothing at all to do with, people will say the dual player and all that. The bottom line here is the way the championship structures are now, under 17, under 20, it's not possible to be dual. But the one thing that we can do now is, from under 13 upwards, is have a plan in place that Tipperary GAA can put out the best possible teams in both hurling and football, and that's a big thing that needs to happen. And I think we're already seeing bits and pieces of it, even through the senior team, Jonathan, is the new players that are coming through are not used to winning, are not used to playing at a high level. You compare to the lads, that played in the Munster senior final. But look at all the different experiences that they've got. Some of these guys were played in 2-3 under-21 Munster finals and won one. They've played in minor All-Ireland finals, played in minor Munster finals. We don't have that same experience of player coming through at the minute. So for that to happen again, I would say there needs to be a plan put in place by the football board, county board, coaching in games, that there needs to be a 10-year plan put in place, and also would also involve developing coaches as well, and which is I think an issue. I think we need to start developing in-house coaches as well, as well. So there's a lot of work to be done, and over the next couple of years, there's no point in saying otherwise. It's going to be hard, and it's important that we do keep the experienced players involved in order to, I suppose, nurture the new senior footballers coming through.
Okay, David, and I suppose finally now, we look forward to the championship, we look forward to next weekend, and we look forward maybe a little bit farther than that as well. So for you as the manager, and for your management team and the players, what are your aims and your ambitions for the remainder of 2023?
Yeah, well, I suppose the initial aim is for us to beat Waterford, and then after Waterford, we want. Last year we would have been very, very disappointed in the way the Tailteann Cup went for us. Looking at the Tailteann Cup this year, you're going to have at least 3 games, and it's our aim. We've seen enough, we've played enough teams where we feel if we can get our strongest possible squad fit, that we can have a big say in the Tailteann Cup, and that's an ambition. But I suppose initially it's getting out of that group in the Tailteann Cup, and that's the first ambition. So look, we still have plenty to play for, and even during the league when things weren't going well, that Tailteann Cup at the end of the day was still driving us on, because in terms of hopefully we can get all our players back fit, and that we can have a right rattle off the Tailteann Cup.
Well, David, can I again thank you very much for talking to Tipp GAA TV. Wish you the very best of luck next weekend and for the remainder of the championship, and I've no doubt that both the management team and the players themselves will be going out there wearing that blue and gold jersey with pride, and will really, really want to restore that pride in the jersey and bring back as much success as possible to Tipperary.